Welcome back to another episode of Technology for Independence with Chris Cooley. Today, Chris is going to be talking with Steve Pelton about his new position at the Ohio and Tech Ambassadors Program. So stay tuned. Welcome back to another episode of Technology for Independence with Chris Cooley. Chris Cooley is a tech ambassador with the Ohio Tech Ambassadors Program in the state of Ohio. Chris, always a pleasure talking with you.
My pleasure to be on here talking about technology, bringing awareness to people with disabilities and dependents. Today, I want to introduce our new director of Ohio Tech Ambassador Program. He's going to be bringing in some new and good stuff to get the program up and running and get us out there and educating, telling folks about technology and helping bring awareness about independence, about people with multiple disabilities. I would like to introduce Steve Pelton, our new director, to everybody that watches our telecast here and seeing what he's excited for, what he's going to bring to the table, and how Ohio Tech Ambassador Program can provide awareness and help everyone be independent.
Well, thank you guys both for having me on today's program. We're really excited to help lead the Ohio Tech Ambassador to the next stage. For those that aren't aware of the Ohio Tech Ambassador Program, the goal is to really help people understand and learn about new technologies and existing technologies that can be utilized to help people be more independent, potentially live their best life. There's a group of individuals that have, over the last couple of years, been doing a lot of work to help sort of spread the word about some of the technology that they utilize in their lives, and also continuing to learn about new technologies that might be effective for other individuals to potentially take advantage of in their lives for their future best life, as I like to call it. So we're excited to be part of it. We want to make sure that, one, we could grow the number of individuals that are tech ambassadors that are sharing their stories. We want to make sure might be able to take advantage of in their lives and really figure out what are some new opportunities for individuals to use both hardware and software technologies that can really change their lives going forward. So we're excited about what has already happened in the Tech Ambassador Program, but also what are some of the new ideas to increase the visibility of the Tech Ambassadors and to try to help reach people where they're at in local counties and local providers, in across the state and regional events and even beyond. So we're definitely excited about the future.
So were you a Ohio Tech Ambassador before getting your directorship?
No, actually, it was never an Ohio Tech Ambassador, but I've been very involved in technology training over the last 20 plus years. So when we go back a couple of years before there was Wi-Fi and we were still using dial-up and whatnot, I was working on my computer degree at Cleveland State University. And as we were going through some of my classes, I had a professor, sort of telling me about some of the struggles that his father was having on his computer. And he's like, oh, I could just use somebody to help that person out. And it was always surprising to me. I'm like, well, you're a teacher of technology at the university level. Why aren't you providing that support? And a lot of times it's hard for family members and friends to necessarily help each other use technology. But it really opened up the opportunity to say, wow, there's really a huge gap of what technology is coming out, but also what's available to help people understand how to use it without being too frustrated to even continue to move forward. So at that point, we started to teach beginners how to use technology. Initially, it was focused on adults over the age of 60. So we started teaching classes around Cleveland as a way to help connect people and get people onto the internet and some of the tools that were available there. At that point, obviously, it was extending into also how do you do things like email and manage, some of the productivity tools that were on the computer itself. And then obviously that continued to evolve. We found that the need for computer and technology training was totally there and had a huge opportunity to go forward. So we continued to expand the technology training in the Columbus area and also in Cincinnati. And then we also started to license the material to other individuals in other states. At that point, our students that were coming to the classes, they're like, well, do you have anything written down so that, I don't have to take so many notes and I could utilize this stuff on my own? So they encouraged us to take the material that we were teaching in our classes and actually build some written content, but also some video-based content. So long story short, we ended up producing 14 large print computer books and about 40 end user videos that were in public libraries in all 50 states and a couple international locations, and giving people the basic step-by-step instructions about how does the technology work and how can they start utilizing it in their lives. So we were doing a lot of training. I ended up getting pulled into healthcare for a period of time to help really expand some of the health and wellness tools that we need to know more about to achieve our overall optimal health and happiness. And as that evolved, we then got back into the technology heavily before the pandemic to try to reach some of those individuals that weren't actively social in some of the different community programs that were already taking place. So after that, as you know, the pandemic hit, all the community-based programs shut down because of the pandemic. And we ended up really ramping up the amount of virtual programs that were available to keep people connected. So the last couple of years, we've done about 9,000 virtual programs, everything from technology training to games and discussion groups and whatnot. And as that was happening, we learned more about the tech ambassadors. And we found that when the opportunity came up to really try to amplify the great work that the tech ambassadors are already doing, we felt that would be a great fit for our personal experiences and our history of helping people with technology, and that we thought that there would be a huge opportunity to make an impact going forward.
Do you feel age, the participants, is a factor in how well they learn?
No, I don't think age has any impact on the person's ability to learn the new technology. It really comes down to the desire to learn and also finding something that you're interested enough in to put the time and effort in. So a lot of times there's a little bit of stigma around, who uses technology, or is the individual, based on where they live or some of their background, unable to use technology. And I think that's a big myth. Bottom line is, even if you look at older adults, as they would say, there would be like a lot of people in the industry will say, oh yeah, they don't use technology, but they're walking around with smartphones and they have tablets and smart TVs and those kind of things. So I think sometimes we don't give enough credit to the individuals about, one, their current usage of technology, but also their desire to figure out how to even use it more to enhance their lives in some way.
Who can use Ohio Tech Ambassador program? And is there an age limit to that?
Yeah, so the Ohio Tech Ambassador doesn't have any limits. Anybody that feels that they can benefit themselves or somebody that they know might be able to benefit from some different types of technology, we encourage to come in and learn. So again, you don't have to have a disability to learn from the Ohio Tech Ambassadors, because it's about shared experience. How are we using technology in our lives to do different things? How are we able to be a little bit more independent? How are we able to potentially be a little safer? How are we able to reach our goals, depending on what that means, if that's school goals or if that's work goals or if that's just life goals? And so in reality, any individual, no matter how old or young they are, and no matter what their ability or disability is encouraged to potentially come to one of the events or, and learn a little bit more how technology can be utilized in your own life.
If I have a child that has multiple disabilities, would it cost anything for me to come and learn how others live independently with just technology and remote support? Does it cost me anything to bring my child to that program and learn?
No, that's the greatest part about the whole thing. Again, the Ohio Tech Ambassador program is funded by the state of Ohio through the Ohio Department of Developmental Disabilities. And so all the programming and events that are being held and led by the Ohio Tech Ambassadors are completely free. So we encourage people to come out. Even if you just want to sit back and listen and you're not really sure what it's about, come on out. Meet some other people that are also interested in technology. Hear some of the stories that might, really connect with you about some things that you might be struggling with or you might be interested in your life, and figure out how these programs could really help make those things possible.
And I have a group of folks that have multiple disabilities that would like to hear about your program. How would I be able to get your program out to my location to talk to the individuals about technology and how it helps other technology can help be independent?
Sure. The best way to actually connect with not only the tech ambassadors, but the overall program is through the website, which is the Ohio Tech Ambassadors. When you go to the website, you have the ability to book an ambassador. If you have an upcoming event or meeting that you're looking to showcase an individual with shared lived experience of how they use technology, or if you'd like to have a little bit more educational content about specific devices that individuals might utilize, this is a great way to really connect with experts that use technology every day, but also understand the potential impact and how much technology can influence somebody's life going forward. So yeah, if you connect with us either through the website or through social media, you have the ability not only to learn about the tech ambassadors, you'll be able to see some of the events that are coming up, and then you'll also have the ability to potentially book or connect with the tech ambassadors on an ongoing basis.
What is going to be the future, do you think, when it comes to the computers?
Well, all technology is ramping up and accelerating very quickly in terms of the functionality and how it can be utilized. And a lot of times we don't even realize that, when you hear a term like artificial intelligence, some of us might be scared about that. You might not really know what that means, but you might also not realize that if you're using a GPS system with your smartphone or in your car, or if you're potentially using a voice assistant to ask for things on the internet, that AI is helping work through that. Even if you're making a call to a customer service line to get help on something that, some service you're experiencing, you'll find that a lot of that is automated and being run through technology now. So the trick is we have to realize, yes, it's accelerating in terms of how fast the technology, how much better it is getting, how much quicker it's getting, how much more user-friendly it's getting. And we just got to figure out what we need to use the technology for. And at that point, if we can help people get the basics figured out, we can help them create the foundation, they could sort of take it wherever they want. I used to love the choose your own adventure books back in the day where you'd read partly and it'd say, well, do you want to do this path or that path? And you would have the ability to choose. And I think that's the way technology is now. You have to figure out what device you want to utilize, you feel most comfortable with. If that's a computer, great. If that's a tablet, hey, that's good too. If you decide you want to do it on your smartphone, that's great. You pick the one that you feel comfortable with. And at that point, you got to decide, where do you want to take it? If you don't know, obviously there's a lot of ways and a lot of stories you'll be able to hear people sharing that might be of interest to you. But at some point, you'll find that almost everything you do in life will have some connection to the technology. And you just got to be willing to potentially learn a little bit about how it can be used so that you could take full advantage of it.
Do you know the percentage of folks with multiple disabilities in Ohio that use the technology to be independent and remote support?
You know what? I don't know the exact number, but I do know that the number of individuals that use technology for more independence is much greater than people might expect. But the number of individuals that are taking advantage of, for example, remote support services, so that they don't necessarily have to have an individual providing services directly with them, but they have the support when they need it, is way too low, in my personal opinion. As people learn a little bit more about how the technology works, they could still get the support that they need without having to necessarily have a person standing right there waiting for them to have a need, that it really opens up huge opportunities going forward. And that's part of what we would like to do. We know that there is a, DSP crisis, which is a direct service provider crisis, where there's not enough individuals to provide the services for individuals with disabilities than we need. And the problem is, how are we going to fix that? Well, we either got to find more people or we got to figure out a new solution. And one of the new solutions that take a huge burden off the whole industry is potentially utilizing technology and specifically remote support so that one individual might be able to support multiple individuals. And that is a huge game changer. But the only way that will actually work and be effective is individuals and families and support teams have to know, one, the technology exists. They have to know what is really capable with the technology so that they could feel comfortable that, yes, this would be able to provide the services that they need when they need it. But also they have to be willing to take a little bit of a chance to give it a shot. And it's always, anytime you have a little bit of change, it's a little bit scary. But from everybody that I've talked to that has and currently receives remote support, they say it's been a game changer. They feel more independent. They feel supported. They could do so much more because of it. So we just need to continue to share those stories going forward.
I have a friend that's in a wheelchair with multiple disabilities and can't use his hand very well, or can't, get out of the chair very much. So you're saying that technology and remote support can actually help that individual live independently?
Totally. I mean, again, with all the technology it's there, if it's, for example, things like, video doorbells or security cameras or sensors or even like tablets that you could click on and immediately have somebody interacting with you based on your needs, all of that's available to the individual. Now, if they need somebody to come in for example, for a couple hours a day, maybe to help them get going in the morning or potentially, settled at night, there's still that possibility. But what about all the rest of the time when the person's at work or they're really out engaging in different activities? They don't necessarily need somebody sitting there waiting, and that's where remote support comes into play. So you don't necessarily have to completely give up all the support that you have in the past, but it's trying to figure out where are there ways that the technology can make the overall experience better for the individual. They still have all the things that they need when they need it, but it also gives them the ability not to necessarily have somebody always with them. Because a lot of times we want a little bit of privacy. We want a little bit more, independence to do what we want to do when we want to do it, and not have to worry about who's necessarily there. So I would definitely say that the technology is available for that individual to do anything they want in their life, at home, at work, out in the community. They just have to be willing to look into some of the technology if they find that there's something that's an obstacle in their way, and they just have to figure out how to take advantage of it.
If they're going to live independently, how would technology help, or what other ways that Ohio Tech Ambassador Program might show that that individual can eat a bowl of cereal without a lot of problem, or maybe carrying a cup of hot coffee to the table? If there's products out there that can help with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's the funny thing is there's so many tools that are currently available. You mentioned eating, for example. There's a new device that's available that has the ability to actually help manually feed an individual, with it doing it with technology where another person doesn't necessarily have to be, for example, picking up the spoon or the fork or whatnot. And the problem is, unless you're looking for it, you really don't know that it exists currently. And that's the big challenge with all the new, devices that are out there. Only a certain amount of those are really getting the visibility because of marketing that we would hope everything would get. And that's where the tech ambassadors come in, because the tech ambassador might say, hey, maybe I have a problem with low vision, which makes the idea of living independently a little bit potentially more challenging than they would like. Well, if an individual is able to share what technology they utilize and what are some of the tricks that they can use to potentially get their life to where they want it to be, then that's how we're sharing the information. And that's really the benefit, because you're also not just hearing about, oh yeah, did you see that advertisement on TV about that new gadget that helps? No, you have somebody that actually has utilized this gadget and it could actually say, well, this is how it works out great, and this is some of the challenges, and it helps bring people and make them more comfortable to try those things out.
What kind of technology are you impressed with in the last couple of years?
Wow, some technology that I'm impressed with. I mean, some of the standard smart home technology is incredible in terms of your video doorbells and your cameras with 4K resolution and video, video that can be done at night and during the day, and the ability to get the alerts right onto your phone. Those are huge game changers in terms of security, for example. The idea of having, any station you want on your TV or through Netflix and to recommend programming for you, for example, that really might match what type of shows you might be more interested in, I think is huge. But the thing that excites me most is some of the artificial intelligence tools that are coming out. If you look at things like ChatGPT, for example, this is a system that has been known to help people create content. Well, you might say, well, I'm not a content developer. Why would I need that? Well, a lot of times in terms of working with individuals, a lot of times the recommendation is we have to help individuals advocate for their needs. Well, they might say, well, there's a new policy coming out from the state, and we should all contact our elected official to show that we want them to support this going forward. Well, an individual might not have a background in writing that letter or crafting that email, and so they wouldn't necessarily advocate for it like they might like to because of not having that experience. Well, you could go into something like ChatGPT and say, I want to create an email, and you sort of type it in to send to my elected official about the importance of transportation issues, in XYZ county for an individual disability. And this is how it limits or impacts my life negatively. Please support this going forward. You hit a button and that generates, so that one or two little lines end up generating an email that you could copy and paste into your email system. At that point, you edit it and change it and add your own little flavor for it, and then you could send it. So instead of spending 30 or 40 minutes or longer trying to create this material, this system will give you that framework, and then you could just utilize it. So I think that is just one of the ways I think it could change. At the same time, if you're trying to do educational presentations or content, the ability to do and use artificial intelligence to do training videos and to create presentations that might be used for advocacy type things in the community or at school or at work, these are all available. And the artificial intelligence isn't necessarily getting us to where we're not using our own mind to do it, but it gives us the framework to build from. And so it makes it that much easier, that much more efficient, that much quicker. And the same thing to use it for things that could read the screen to you and take, things at like meetings and make notes out of it and summarize it. Those tools are all available and getting better and better and better. And that's what really excites me.
What are a couple of things that you would like the viewers to know about the Ohio Tech Ambassadors Program?
One, I think the biggest things is check out the Tech Ambassadors. Amazing individuals that are utilizing technology in a variety of ways to live super productive, impactful lives, and they're not letting any obstacles that they would face stop them from reaching their goals. At that point, if you see an event in your local community or you want to learn more about some of this technology and you don't see an event, connect with the Ohio Tech Ambassador Program. Ask to have a tech ambassador attend your event either in person or virtually, and really engage and learn from some of the lived experiences that the individuals have. At the same time, share with us what type of technology you might be utilizing in your life that you think is a huge game changer for you. How do you use it, and how can it be impactful for somebody else? This is how we continue to learn about new technologies that are out there. We share that information with each other, and we try to highlight some of the best ones that are happening. And at the same time, if you have any concerns about technology or you have questions about technology, let us know. Let us know what you would like to see from the Tech Ambassadors. What tools and resources would be helpful for you so that when you hear about, for example, the video doorbell, now you have the confidence to actually put it into play. Is it a little bit more instructions on how to happen? Is it more stories about how it is utilized? Let us know what you need so that the program can be as effective as possible for you.
As a Ohio Tech Ambassador, what have you found as rewarding to what you do?
I found rewarding in helping going out into my community all over Ohio and abroad. Even New York had reached out and asked me questions about technology. Getting out there and helping folks understand that we have the power and we can live independent. We have the power to go out into our community and do things on our own, just with remote support and other technology that may be out there. So we do have the power. It fills my heart every time I go out into the community, knowing that I've gave other other individuals with multiple disabilities something that they can think about, and look at, and be able to, take back and look at it and think, wow, that might help me live independently. That might help me with something else. I have a tool that everybody loves it. And, even the police department here in Portsmouth, Ohio, it's like we need one of those tools to be able to communicate with folks that have multiple disabilities.
Steve, I want to thank you very much for coming on the program. Okay, we're talking with Chris Cooley, Steve Pelton on technology for independence